How are we doing, folks? Your host Moose here on the Pitt Panthers Football Network as we get together to wrap up the Pitt football recruiting class of 2019. We want to meet the recruits, the 5th ranked national class for Pat Narduzzi and the Pitt Panthers. 16 recruits, 1 5-star in Jay Keys, 11 4-stars throughout the list of recruits, and 3 3-stars and a 2-star. A great group of players that the Panthers have brought in. Some interesting news that you'll see from the In the Spotlight there. Xavier Godfrey, the number 2 ranked quarterback in the country. It's actually rumored that with Keys joining the Panthers class, he may actually be moving to halfback instead of staying at quarterback. Keys is expected to see the field in a number of ways. Could play quarterback, halfback, and receiver. Adarion Mitchell, huge outside linebacker commit that the Panthers picked up on National Signing Day, will be expected to play at both outside linebacker positions this year. And then Avery Heller may, in addition to being able to feature in the defense this year, he may be featured as a kick returner or punt returner this season as well. So we take a look at each of your individual recruits that you were able to bring in. Some of the names, Jay Keys, I just got I played around with him in practice mode a little bit, and it was just cool seeing him on the field, and I just couldn't leave the name. I liked it so much from seeing him play out there. So we left Jay Keys, got some sweet little gear, 1 glove hand. Very good player, decent speed, good elusiveness, very good running and juking. His route running is 87. It's unbelievable. He's going to feature for sure at least at receiver this year. He's got decent throw power and accuracy. We're going to leave him as a quarterback so he can still progress in those quarterback attributes. But honestly, he may become a receiver because him and AC Reese are both the same year, and they're both very good quarterbacks. So we'll see how that shakes out. Xavier Godfrey, of course, was a quarterback, and we're going to move him to running back because he has good speed, good acceleration, very good running skills. He can also pass if we need him to, but he's not as good of a thrower as anybody else that's a quarterback on our roster, and we need a running back depth. He immediately becomes our 3rd-string running back behind Todd Sibley and CJ London. So a good move there. Colin Wells, another running back we were able to bring in, a little bit smaller as far as he's concerned. He's like 5'10", 5'11", but a good overall player. He's well-rounded, decent speed. You can see 85 overall. Doesn't really have any traditional statistics that stand out entirely. His carrying definitely needs a bit of work, so he's not fumbling. Not a great catcher of the ball, but overall just a good depth player that's probably going to redshirt and need a bit of time to really evolve into the offense and find a use for him. Same thing with Daenerys Carter, another player that has a bit more speed, a bit more height than Colin Wells does, but they're very similar players. Kind of, decently quick, not particularly strong, not really ready for the big time yet, so they're going to redshirt. They'll have a couple of years, of course, to develop with the likes of CJ London and Sibley as just juniors this year, so we'll have 2 years more out of them, or sophomores this year, I think, excuse me. So we have a very young running back core. Yeah, they're going to be sophomores. London's a true sophomore, Sibley's a redshirt sophomore. So, they're going to be able to hold the reins on for a while, so we won't need Carter and the like to contribute just yet. Calvin Edwards, of course, freshman. They're all freshmen recruits out of, he's a fullback. He's going to redshirt. We don't need him at this point. We have Samuel Smoot starting fullback, and we're not even going to use a fullback a ton this year because of the fact that we've switched formations or playbooks, I should say, from kind of the Pitt custom playbook that we had been using under Matt Canada to now the UMass playbook that we're just going to use straight up to start the first bit of the season with. We may throw some custom stuff in, but Edwards is not necessarily needed right away. And then we did add a couple receivers. Keith Onyango was our number 1 recruiting pickup on the receiver field. 94 speed, so very, very quick there. Should be a good deep threat. Really needs to work on his catching, though. Only 62 on the catch rating, which is really, really bad. That contributes to his 70 overall, but he's got some speed. Should be a good quality player, hopefully after a couple of years. But we might need him to contribute sooner rather than later. He's, we got 3 senior receivers in the lineup right now. Quincy Veers, another good, solid player, hometown guy from Pittsburgh. Looks to be very good. Family was incidentally enough Penn State family. All his family had gone to Penn State. Turns out Quincy has become a Pitt fan. So he's going to go to Pitt now. Should be a good, solid player, decent speed, a little bit better catch rating, but just not overall as explosive as Onyego is, but still going to be a good player for us, I think, as we move along. But another one that's going to redshirt. Majority of our guys will probably redshirt just because they're not ready for the line. Wendell Matthews should be a very good offensive lineman. Looks to be a solid player. Will definitely contribute at some point. Comes in already as a 70 overall, so definitely has the opportunity to start, I'd say, probably by junior year. I think he could work his way into the lineup. Definitely going to be a good player for us. A little bit better of a run blocker than a pass blocker, which is not as ideal for a tackle. We'd rather have our guards probably be the run blockers, but, you know, still a good player overall. Charles Rhodes, very good player. 74 overall already. Can season himself for a year or two at guard behind the couple of good starters that we do have. And then he's going to be very good, I think. Charles Rhodes looks very solid, very well-rounded, both in pass blocking and run blocking. Not a ton of impact block, but just a good overall player. And then Luke Davis, fantastic player. I think he comes in at 78 overall, or excuse me, 79 overall already, which, if it weren't for player progression, he'd be our highest rated center, other than the fact that our center, John Cooper, who will be our starting center next year, he's going to progress to about 82, 83 overall, which we'll see in the next episode, from the 78 that he was. Maybe even a little higher. I don't remember what he goes to specifically, but very good center. Gives us a ton of depth at that position. Lonnie Jackson, bit disappointing. He was projected at a 70, came in as a 61. Development player, you know. Like anybody else, give him his opportunity to learn the ropes, redshirt, sit on the bench. Eventually, we may see him in the starting lineup, you know, before time is said and done and when graduation hits for him. On the other side of the football now, defensively, Jalen Hills, really excited about him. Another Maine prospect, our second player from Maine, interestingly enough. They're both defensive ends. Ronnie Baker and Jalen Hills are our two defensive ends that are from Maine, and there are only two Maine recruits. Good amount of speed from Hills. He's a good, well-rounded player again. A little bit more on the, pursuit, secondary side. You know, I don't know how great he's going to be as far as rushing the quarterback, but he looks to be good in run defense. I think he's just going to be a good clogger up on the edge for us. Deuce Holland, solid player. Comes in hard-nosed player, very tough. Works his bag off. Should be a very good player. Good, decent speed for an outside linebacker, which we like to see because a lot of times our outside linebackers are in coverage because we do run out of the base 4-3 or even the nickel a majority of the time, or the 3-2-6 even when we're in dime type coverage. So could potentially see the field eventually. Darion Mitchell is going to see the field from day one. Should be an unbelievable player. Very good. We've done really well with finding some good, solid outside linebacker prospects. Obviously, Barry Jenkins and Jason Jordan, who will be our starting outside linebackers. They've been playing from day one. True juniors that they will be this year. They've been playing since their true freshman season. Darion Mitchell looks to be the next in that crop of players. Very good speed. Really good in pursuit, decent in coverage as well, which I like to see. His man and his zone are both pretty solid, which means he'll be able to do everything that we've asked of him and should be an incredible player. Another guy, Avery Heller, 79 overall already. Now, I will say about these overalls, that's their overalls that they came in when I recruited them, but I do lower people's injury ratings in order to get more injuries, because when you play in these user games, injuries just never seem to happen. When they do, they're for like a couple plays. You never get the guys for like week-long injuries. And the only way I found to do that is I kind of mass edit everybody on my team's injury ratings down about 30 or 40 points. And that does bring people's overalls down a little bit. I'm not sure why their overalls are tied to their injury ratings as well, but it is what it is. So everybody's overall will probably drop a point or two from where they're at now, just because I do lower everybody's injury rating according to that. So I will kind of countermeasure that. Everybody's probably going to lose 1 or 2 overall points. I may even bump up a couple of things just to keep things a little bit more even keel on the rating scale, because it just makes things look bad overall. But it shouldn't affect how anybody plays. Just going to make us have a bit more injuries as the season progresses. But there you go, guys. You can see the recruiting class. If you got into the recruiting class, I hope you're happy with your player. I swagged them out kind of as everybody addressed, or at least the minimal amount of stuff that you said you wanted your player to have. I made sure you had that. And then from there, I address things as need be. Numbers-wise, the people that's numbers were available that they could have had, I gave you one similar. If not, I probably found either a multiple of your number, or I added your two choices together, or some way to give you a number similar to what you wanted. But hope everybody's happy. It's a great recruiting class. Really excited to get the season underway. We got a couple more episodes. The next episode is going to be about our off-season progression, position changes, and then we'll talk about any progression we may have had to make, as well as the couple cuts that are going to happen. So that'll be the next episode. And then from there, or just what may have happened to the roster. From there, we will be able to get into the season preview, and we'll get into the season. So as always, guys, hope you've enjoyed. Hail to Pitt. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.